Oh, it's a big day today because we're talking money, we're talking profit, we're talking all that exciting stuff that keeps you awake at night and wakes you up early in the morning. I've been up since 3 in the morning because I have been jacked for this. Loving this topic. Gang, my name's Erik Hatch of Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching out of Fargo, North Dakota, and a few expansion markets too. We're talking about profit today and what does it take to make $1,000,000? Really simple topic, and this has been so misunderstood by so many people, and I feel like I gotta start shouting it from the mountaintops. Making $1,000,000 feels pretty awesome. But I think that a lot of times people have been misled because there's some sources out there. There's wrong ways to factor and figure your money. We're going to take a look at all that, and we're going to take some really active notes in this. So if you haven't done so yet, please grab a notebook and a pen or get ready to type as well, because I have a ton of information to bring at you as we talk about this. I love being front facing with you, but I have so many slides to go through and exciting things because my goal is to help you get to $1,000,000 in profit. Frankly, a lot of this depends on the price range that you're in, but even more so, we're gonna bust open some myths of ways in which you can actually make $1,000,000. We're gonna talk about what that looks like for you and for people in your world. So. Zoom has been just a little bit slow. It'll be a little bit clunky and chunky, but that's no problem. We're still going to have a great time. So I just need to switch over to my slideshow here, and we're going to get started. If you have questions, there's two types of people watching. You're watching the replay on the YouTubes right now, or you're watching live. And if you're watching live, let this be a conversation and not just a presentation. Meaning, I want you to ask questions. I want you to throw things my way. Don't hold back. I want to know every question that you have, and hopefully we cover it all as we go. Because we're going to talk about how to profit over $1,000,000 annually in real estate. So there is the model of all models that has taught a lot of us, and that is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Model, MREA. It's as simple as this. Look what's in the red here on the screen. Your GCI, your gross commission income, minus COGS. COGS stands for cost of goods sold. You can also say cost of sale. I say COGS because I think the G makes it sound a little more gangster, and I'm pretty gangster. And then minus your expenses, and that leads to your profit. That is your team profit. You can see the budget model from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent that I put there on the screen. And I look at that and like, I get it. I get where they're going, but it seems unfathomable to me that that's actually a reality. For some people, they have a team that they'll say profits 30, 40, 50, 60%. And then I just have to cry foul and say, I don't think you are, because I think you're doing your numbers incorrectly. And I think that we have to get really, really clear on these numbers. And I'm going to give you all the equations that you need. So in addition to that, the operating expenses that we're looking at, the cost to run a business is quite high. And if you want to profit over $1,000,000, it's going to be hard doing that just from your team. So I think there's some hard pills to swallow from MREA. And let me say this, I am not speaking poorly of it. I in fact think that MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is an incredible guide, but I want to cry foul on a few things. Cost of goods sold is only 29.2% according to their model. Now, cost of goods sold represents all of the commissions that you pay. In fact, it represents the commissions you pay your brokerage, and it represents the commissions that you're paying to any agent in production. I don't know of many real estate teams in many places where you can get away with paying somebody 30%. In fact, their recommendation is something like 20% for listings and 40% for buys. And I don't know of people that have amazing talents in their world. I think that the cost of goods sold has to be higher if you want to get really clear on your numbers. So the second category we look at are expenses, right? Remember, it's your GCI, your gross commission income, minus the cost of goods sold, minus the expenses. And the expenses, if you're paying yourself a salary, you're paying other people on your team a salary, You have marketing expenses, and how expensive are leads nowadays? Because they are more and more expensive than they ever have been before. You have brokerage fees. Again, you can categorize that in cost of goods sold or expenses. I don't care. I just know it costs you money. If you own your own brokerage, you have extra fees that you're paying for that too. And the MREA guide says 29.2% for that. And it doesn't even factor in your salary. That is irresponsible as far as I'm concerned. Number three, a hard pill to swallow is that your own personal production isn't there. MREA talks about going to the 6th or 7th level, which has you out of production. 7th level is like the business runs itself. And the 6th level is like you're working on the business, but not in the business. But we got to pay you a salary too, don't we? And so here's what MREA says is you're going to profit $1 million if you sell $2.4 million in GCI, making your profit margin 41.6%. I don't know how you get there. I don't. I haven't seen it. The only chance I think you could have in getting to a profit margin of 41.6% is if you are understaffing your team, if you're in an exceedingly high price point, like $500,000 and up, and you are kind of a solopreneur. That's one of the only ways I know you can get to a profit margin like that. And don't we all want to grow these teams so that we work less and make more? And yet I can tell you with confidence, very few people actually make more money running a team. And then they'll tell you the wrong numbers. And I'm here as your friend telling you, let's get these numbers right. Let's get it on straight and let's dive in so you fully understand the financial responsibility that it is to take a team. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to take a dive into 3 different buckets. These 3 different buckets are going to best articulate the way in which you can make $1 million, because yes, you can make it from your team, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But you can also make it 2 other ways, and we're going to show you all of this. So again, active note takers, now's your chance. 3 ways: salary, your own production, and team profit. Those 3 things. I have a coaching client. He's in fact on this call right here. He had the most unbelievable year, making 5 times the amount of profit that he made last year. five times the amount of profit. And some of it came on the back of his own production. See, he thought that having a team would make him all this money, and it really didn't. He's now doing this the right way. He's paying himself the right way. And so we know his true profit number is about 22 or 23%. I'll tell you that my team, I only work in it but 2 days a week. And so I'm actually paying extra salaries for other leaders to take care of things. My profit margin isn't 22.5%. I would love it to be, but we're more like 15%. And I know that, and I'm going to share with you all my numbers here too, because I want you to see and understand how hard it is to make $1 million from your team, but there is an easier way. First way you should be paying yourself is a salary. So that means whether the company makes money or not, whether you find yourself in Profitville or not, you're getting paid as a C-level executive for your company. This is working on the business rather than in the business. You may still be in production. In fact, most people are still in production, but I want you to know and understand the numbers, the way in which they work out, have you paying yourself a salary. I think a 2 to 5% of your annual GCI makes sense. We are a $6 million company, is my real estate team. Pretty awesome. First year we ever broke 5 million and we went all the way to 6. So it was a great year. We closed 868 transactions in 2020 and had about a 15% profit margin on that. We were a $6 million team. So that meant I was flirting right under $1 million. I would have been over $1 million if I wasn't paying so many salaries to other people. But you see, I want to have other things to do, and I want to give people really big lives. So I pay them exponentially more than what the industry pays. Now, the salary I pay myself is $100,000. $100,000 on 6 million is less than 2%. But I'm giving some other portions of that to other people because they're taking on leadership roles. See, I think a salary of 2 to 5% of your GCI makes sense if you're building a team. If you are a solopreneur and you are looking at this saying, maybe I want to build a team, I actually think you should start paying yourself a salary right now and run yourself off of budgets. So you should have at least 3 to 6 months of operating expenses, including your salary, in the bank. That gives you permission then to make healthy decisions moving forward. I just spit. That's how excited I got about that. First is your own salary that you should be paying yourself. Second way to profit $1 million annually is your own production. This one is a big one, and I want to make sure you understand this. You should be paying yourself the same commission that you're paying agents on your team. The same. It should be leaving the team checking and operating account, and you should be paying yourself in an extra bank account. Don't commingle your funds. I want to go back. It was 2014 I got out of production. My daughter was born in October of 2014. It was my last days in production. It's been so amazing now to not have to be in production. And as she was born, I stepped away. In 2015, we went, 2014, we sold 411 homes, and it looked like we were super, super profitable. 2015, we sold 516 homes. We sold 105 more houses, and my profit dropped a couple $100,000. Now, why is that? That's because all of a sudden my production, the 150 deals I was doing a year myself, that went to somebody else. And now all of a sudden they're taking a 35 to 50% commission split on that. And I went, oh my gosh, where did all my profit go? And my profit all went to paying those other agents, because I made the mistake of paying myself profit paying myself commission and leaving that in the company account. For every house I sold, say it's a $10,000 commission that came, I would leave $10,000 in the account. And that's not a true number. The true number is when you actually pay yourself a commission out of that. So if you're on a 40% split on the buy side, you're taking $4,000 of that $10,000 in a separate account. So your team has a true understanding of what those numbers are. I hate to tell you, but most of you right now aren't doing this. And so the number you are making decisions on to red light or green light your business to see if you have enough operating expenses, all that is an untrue number because you haven't paid yourself the same way. Now, your tax statement will still show how much money you're making, and you're making your salary, and you're making your own personal production. It's going to show all that on your tax statement. But I'm talking about getting your numbers in your business accurate. And in order to do that, you should be paying yourself the same commission. So every buy you do, you pay yourself a buyer commission. Every listing you do, you pay yourself a listing commission. Doesn't matter. You should be doing the same with your business and other people's business. Now, you may be saying, Eric, I don't want to be in production. I just want to make a bunch of money off of my team. And so you're irresponsibly hiring a bunch of agents and you're bringing them in saying, I'm going to make all this money off of people. But the numbers don't lie, okay? I think that the partner model is hands down the better method for you to make serious money. Let's go back to that $10,000 commission I was talking about before. Let's say you have 5 amazing at-bats that you want to give an agent on your team. 5. And so you're thinking, okay, if I'm on a 50-50 split with my agents and I'm going to give them 5 at-bats, so I know they're going to get $25,000 and I'm going to get $25,000 because it's $10,000 per transaction. And so we think, hey, I didn't have to work super hard for this $25,000. But I'll tell you, those people are usually untrained. At least they're not trained well enough. They're not as seasoned. They're not as sharp as you are. And so that 5 out of 5 is probably 3 out of 5. If that's you right now, I hope you're nodding me like, yeah, I get that. Well, here's what happens now is what could have been $50,000 in commissions is now 5, 10, 15 for you and 5, 10, 15 for your agent. So your agent made $15,000. You made $15,000. And you may think, hey, I made 15 grand. That's a great win. But guess what? There are 5 deals worth $10,000 each on the table. And instead of giving these 5 at-bats to somebody else, what happens if you hang on to that? And I'm not saying you have to actually do that much more work. What I am saying is now these 5 are represented by you and a showing partner. In fact, I just want to call it a partner. You may hear me use both language pieces, but they're interchangeable because I think a partner literally is a partner in your business. It's somebody that's new. You're paying them a salary, and you can oftentimes pay them a little override as well. But watch how the math changes. 5 out of 5 deals you're going to close now, not 3 out of 5, because you're flipping good at what you do. So no 3, it's 5 out of 5, and each one's worth $10,000. But let's say it's going to take you 2 months to close, or 2 months to get all these closed. You're going to pay a showing partner anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 during that time. So now you're making $43,000 net number. Yes, you're going to split some of that to the company. Yes, that's fine. But you yourself went from making what could have been $15,000 to now making $43,000. And guess what happens for those agents on your team that are serving as your showing partners? They're getting their MBA. They're getting their doctorate in real estate. I've been doing the showing partner model now for over 6 years. And I've never had an agent go from the showing partner position to not make it as an agent in production on their own. See, in our world, everything is earned and nothing is given. And so if you want to be massively successful, I would encourage you to treat your agents in that same regard. And that is, they need to earn their way. Because again, we're protecting your profitability by your own production. Most of you, if you're anything like I was, wanted to run to get out of production. And I want to hit you with something that is truthful and painful. And that is, you probably haven't earned that right yet. You want it, but you haven't earned it. And to earn it means you're taking the time to train your other people, and you're taking the time to live on a serious budget in your business, and you're taking the time to be the leader you need to be, and you've sharpened that sword so that you can go and be massively profitable. I think most rainmakers are still doing a little bit of production. Some of you might be doing a ton of production. You might not even be there yet, but I've looked to see who's watching right now, and I have some people on here that are completely out of production. They simply have to get more from others. And I can promise you that if you are going to be in production, the partner model is going to free up your time and help you keep a ton of money in your own pocket. Now, this third one that you see on the screen here is an interesting one. This is one I started doing probably 3 or 4 years ago. And that is to charge your team for the referrals that you give them. I can say that and some people are like, oh, that sounds nasty, you know? It's one of those things that hits. And when you talk about charging a referral fee to your team members, some people say, well, that's not the value proposition that I gave. I want to tell you that if you have a solid team and a solid business, the value that you give is not in the splits and it's not in the referral fees that you would charge. The value that you give is you showing up, understanding their goals, what they want, and you together make a plan on how they're going to get there. I don't care if your commission's 40% or 50% or 30%. What matters and what's going to keep them around is if you know their goals and you're walking by their side and you're helping them to have a really big life and you're continually pouring into them. That's what matters. So back to the value proposition of this 25% referral fee. See, my team knew that my goal was to not work in Hatch Realty 5 days a week. I was going to be the mascot and the head coach and the vision caster and the key leader. Like, I would lead the leaders, and that's about it. And so we noticed that, let's say a buyer agent had a referral or an admin that's licensed had a referral, and they pass it off to somebody, we would give them 25% all day, every day. Why can't I get that 25%? Well, Eric, the value is that you're giving everybody all your business. No, I'm risking hundreds of thousands of dollars each month and each year to run this. It doesn't mean that I have to give my own personal production away, because if I have a showing partner, I'm not giving that stuff away. If I don't have a showing partner, now I need to pay a referral, or excuse me, I need to collect a referral when I give that to somebody else on the team. When I had this idea and I brought it to my team, I was scared to death, being like, oh my gosh, they're going to just freak out and they're going to reject me. And do you know the response I got? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, man, we'd rather have a great deal from Eric than not have a great deal at all. Look at that, dudes. Like, I was able to save, I think I made, off of the referrals I gave my team, I made 40 or 50 grand last year. It's pretty amazing to see what happens when you start thinking intentionally about your own production and how you're going to profit. Now, let's break down some numbers. I want you to see and understand how these numbers should shape up. Let's take an average sales price of $300,000 and the commission on that is 3% in your market. My market right now, average sales price is like $235,000 and our average commission is like 2.82%. But all that aside, I'm simply trying to give you a framework and a mentality that you understand here. So we're dealing with a $9,000 commission. If you're on a, say, a 50% split with your buyer agents and a 30% split with your listing agents, that's the same as what you're going to get paid when you do that production. So every buy deal, you get $4,500 in your own pocket and $2,700 in your pocket when it's a listing. How much production do you have to do to make some serious money? See, most people only know what their team is making and they don't know what they're making. So let's say in this scenario, you're making $100,000 for your salary. Now, what's your own personal production going to make you? Because I think you can carve and create and do a team within a team. That means, yes, you're still fueling and feeding into your regular team for them to make money and for you to make money on that. You can have a team within a team, and you do that with a partner model. And now all of a sudden, look at this. It's a lot of stuff on the screen, but 25 buys and 14 listings. That's 39 total deals, almost all handled exclusively by the partner, because the partner is the nurse to your doctor. They're doing all the showings, they're doing all the regular communication pieces, and you are simply getting them under contract and then negotiating when the lifting gets heavy. You don't go to inspections. You're not handling random texts all the time. You're there for the heavy lifting like a doctor would be. And you can make $150,000 from your own production in this model. Now, yes, you're paying salaries. That's factored into the expense piece that I'm going to get to. But I want you to see and understand that the fastest way to get to $1 million is your own production. Bar none, hands down, if you're chasing after $1 million, that means you got to get into production if you don't have the team trained and equipped. I have a question here. Excuse me. Michael asked the question, is that a split plus the fee? I assume the fee you're talking about is like a transaction fee or a broker agent commission. I'm just using even round numbers here, Michael. So when it comes to it, some people choose to charge transaction fees, some people do not. I'm simply going off of commission here and not transaction fees, but I will touch on that here in just a little bit. So great question. As we continue, gang, if you have questions and you're watching live, feel free to shoot those my way. I'm happy to answer them however I can. So let's jump back to our screen. I want you to see that this strategy for making serious money is real. But the way in which we all want to make money is with this team profit. Again, going off of the equation on the very first slide, your GCI, your gross commission income, you'll subtract your cost of goods sold and your expenses to get your total profit. So now the note taken should get heavy. Get ready, buckaroos. Here we go. Okay. Each team's different. First of all, when it comes to splits, each team's different. I'll tell you, my listing agents make 35% and my buyer agents make 50%. I pay them a lot. If I could go back and do it all over again, I would lower that. I think it changes some of the talent that comes in, sure, but again, the value is not just in the split I give, but in the energy and the time and the intent that I give. And I see all this and I say, man, I could be making more, but realistically, retention is one of the most beautiful ways for you to start making more money is you keep people around for longer. And I'd rather pay an extra 5% to a great person to keep them around than pressing the restart button every couple of years. I want you to see in our world, we also have ISAs, inside sales agents, and they get, in our world, they get an 8% split. I've seen anywhere from 5 to 12% that comes off of the agent's cut. So if a buyer agent is to make 50%, in our world now they're making 42 when it's an ISA deal, a deal that I purchased. Now in the blue down here, this is an important thing for you to figure because you need to know what your average cost of goods sold percentage is. And so you're going to take your buyer agent split, let's say it's 40%, and then you times it by that percentage that is your business. So maybe you're 60% buyers, 40% listings. So you're going to go 40% times 60%. plus, and then your listing agent split, let's say you're at 30%, and that would leave 40% plus 30 times 40. And that's going to get you your exact number for what your average cost of goods sold is. If I'm going too fast, please tell me, whoa, 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 Miss Slippy, slow your britches, and I'm happy to do so. On the screen here, you might want to take a screenshot. You might want to write this down. I can't tell you that I'm going to be on this screen for a terrible amount of time, but I gave you what my expenses are. These are my expenses. This is what I have figured out at the beginning of the year, and I know how much money is going to get spent on each category. The most expensive categories are lead generation and salaries, but I don't want my expenses ever to exceed 35%. Remember, I said I'm profiting around 15%. And so you take that 35% and then my cost of goods sold as well, and you add all that together, and you should have a healthy profit margin. Now, knowing these numbers, everybody has to pay these in one way, shape, or form. Sometimes you're just bad at categorizing them, but these are all the categories that you're going to want when you're trying to figure out your expenses. This is a super important slide. Again, this is your last chance to screenshot it before I move on. We're done in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Also, we'll be sending this out to those of you watching live, or you can, of course, just watch the replay if you're watching in the YouTubes. So here's the real numbers. If I factored in the team GCI gross commission of $3 million, and then I'm going to subtract my cost of goods sold, which figured out at 40%, and my expenses at 35%, that means my team is going to profit $750,000. Now, if you're profiting between 20 and 25%, you are in a pretty healthy place for your team. My friend Misty said we saved a ton on travel this year. I sure did, Misty. It was super inexpensive. I'm trying to budget more for next year, this year now, I suppose. But yeah, saved a ton on travel. I want to say if you are profiting between 20% and higher, so between 20 and 25 or 30%, if you're in that margin, man, you have like huge thumbs up from me. Like, way to go, dudes. You have that figured out. That is a healthy profit margin. So long as you're paying yourself a salary, so long as you're taking commission out, and then you're still left with 20 or 25% profit. That's awesome. The truth is, and I've done this exercise with dozens of realtors and team leaders around the country, I think a smidge are making that 20 or 25% profit margin, like maybe less than 5% in the industry. You'd be surprised how many people are actually using their own production to fuel their own profit. And so they'll say, man, we have a 20% profit margin. Then we do the math, and they're like, man, I lost 30 grand this year. It would have been cheaper for me to just be a solo agent than to be an agent in production. So my friend Christine says, when you say you mean the company, right? For those of you that are in production. Yes, I do, Christine. Absolutely. You as the company are going to want to be making these profit margins that I'm alluding to. And I just want to tell you that it is hard dang work to get a team really, really profitable. It's worth it, but it's hard work. Because if we're talking about how to make $1 million a year, we're going to look at all these numbers. Here's how it adds up. $100,000 in a salary, $150,000 in cash from your own production, and a team profit of $750 gets you a total profit of $1 million. And let's take a look again. That has us doing $3 million in sales. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book said 2.4 million, and you can go ahead and profit just from your team. I don't think you can. I mean, unless you have this magical solution of exceedingly high sales prices and hardly any staff. And you're also working all past clients and repeat business that comes to you. It's just hard to do, gang. So this is one way to make $1 million, but I want to start changing this model a little bit because each of you is in a different place and in a different space. So let's work it backwards. We know your salary is going to be set at 100 grand. That's what you're figuring out. And your own personal production is 150. Maybe you're going to change those numbers and maybe you're not in production. Just take that line item out. Maybe you're going to do $250,000 in production of commission that you earn. Doesn't matter. We have to figure out, what does your team have to produce in order to hit $1 million in total profit in your pocket? So here we go. The desired profit minus the salary minus the personal production gets us to $750,000. Then we take our cost of goods sold. We're starting at 100%. Then we're saying minus 40%, minus 35%, and that leaves us with 25% profit. And so I take that $750,000, that desired income, and then I divide that by the 25%, which is the profit margin that I think I can hold because I'm budgeting, because I'm planning. And that means we need to do 3 million in GCI or 333 deals. This is another important screen for you to screenshot or to take ferocious notes, because this math on how to profit $1 million is really, I'm not saying it's simple, but it's not as hard as you maybe make it out to be, because you need to be operating as a business, knowing your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, it's one of the first things. If you were to start with me as a coaching client, it's one of the first things we would do is we would get your numbers figured out, and we would all speak the same language. This is the only true language that I know of for understanding your profit at the purest form. What you see on the screen here, this comes from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and this is their economic model. And so let's say you want to make $1 million in net income. Well, your operating expenses and cost of sales, we already figured out that those are going to be higher. And so your total GCI needs to be 3 million, or maybe it's even more than 3 million. Maybe it's 4 million or 5 million or 6 million. Then you take these things on the screen. Again, I'm not going to go too in depth on this, but I do want you to screenshot this or take a picture with your camera, because these percentages you will change, but the equations remain the same. Okay, so if you're on the left-hand column where it says sell side, we understand that half your business is sellers. That's why it's the 50%, half the business. And so how many houses do you have to sell on the sell side based on what you know for your average commission amount and everything else? Well, there you can figure the first piece. Then you have your agreement to close. That's the time in which you get somebody contracted until when they actually close. In a market like we find ourselves in right now, my guess is 95 to 100% of your listings will actually close. If not, you're really struggling on pricing houses. Then you know how many seller listing agreements you need by simply doing that next equation. And then finally, how many appointments will you need? Because how many listing appointments will you have to go on to capture? Will you have to go on 7 or 10 appointments to capture 7? We have to go on 8 appointments to capture 7. We have to go on 15. You can figure your percentage there, and then you'll have the total number of seller appointments that you need. The inverse is true on the buy side. So there's a number of things you need to track. Again, here's another chance to screenshot. I think all the things you see on the screen right now should be tracked. If you want to know your true profit number, and if you want to be in control of all the variables, here are all of the variables that you're going to need in order to pursue that $1 million in profit. Each of these matters, and they matter a great deal. You're going to have to screenshot this right now because I'm moving on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are almost there, gang. So if you do have questions, throw them my way, but we're getting close to wrapping already. Here's my favorite slide. All right, I'm going to my face here. We're going to zoom in. Here is my favorite slide of all the slides, because I'll tell you what happened in my world in 2020. Our team production, we grew by 36% in transactions and 41% in volume. Oddly enough, our commission amount stayed like the exact same. We took some deals at lower commissions. We negotiated, we gave away a couple, like we all have those asterisks. And so we sold 36% more transactions. And my profit went up 300%. My profit was laughable in 2019 because I didn't have control over my expenses. Like, I'm saying this to you all right now because we all want to make big money, but we have a hard time doing the tough things and knowing where our money comes. And I have a very, very simple way for you to all of a sudden go, oh, this is how I make all my money. Because I sold 36% more, but I profited 300% more. One of my coaching clients, they sold 20% more and profited 500% more because they got into production and because they paid attention to this slide right here. And now Zoom is frozen. Because I'm going to tell you, here's the trick of what you need to do in order to profit that much more. That means that you're going to have to go above that break-even line. I think it's imperative that you understand what your break-even line is. Like, my expenses plus my cost of goods sold, and you can figure out, let's say your expenses are, using even math, $100,000 a month. It's a lot of expenses. And then your cost of goods sold, we know that COGS averages 50%. And so I'm going to take that 100,000 and I'm going to divide it by that 50%. And now that means $200,000 is my break-even number. With an average commission of 10,000 bucks, I have to sell 20 houses a month just to break even. I don't make any profit on 20 houses a month. Yes, you'll make a salary. Yes, your own personal production, but your team production, your team profit won't make any profit. But on the 21st deal, it sure will. And the 22nd deal, it sure will. So I'm going on the screen here based on that $9,000 average commission. If you want to profit an extra $200,000, it's not as hard as you think, because we make all our money in the final push. You need to sell 37 more houses. That's it. Because here's what happens. This is maybe one of the most important things you're going to learn today. If your average commission is $9,000 and you've paid all your expenses, that's a fixed cost. That number is not going to change month in and month out. You're paying a 40% cost of goods sold to the agents that sell it, or to yourself. That means if you're paying $3,600, which is 40%, you're keeping $5,400. And if you can keep $5,400 per transaction, if you just sell an extra 3 houses a month, getting you to 36 or 37 more houses, you're going to profit $200,000 more. In the first equation, it was selling 333 houses to make $750,000. Do you see that math? Because that math is just over $2,000 a house. Now, $2,000 a house is still great money. But here you can make $5,400 a house by just selling one more over that break-even number. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense to you. If not, ask some questions and I want to help bring clarity for you. But I want to close with this. Again, if you have questions, pose them to me now, because I'm about going to wrap and I want to be able to answer everything you have for me. But there's 3 ways to make more money no matter how we do this. If you want to make $1 million or more, you can certainly sell more homes. It's taken a long time for me to reach that $1 million mark. And it's pretty awesome to be here. It sounds weird to say that, and it sounds braggadocious to say that. But I've worked really hard, you know? And I don't doubt that you're working really hard to be able to say, look what I'm making and look what I'm getting to do. And look at this opportunity that's presented to me. And like, man, it's not meant to be braggadocious. I'm just here to say, like, I've worked really hard and I've grinded and I've done these numbers wrong almost every time, which is why I can teach on it now, is because I failed my way through this. So if you want to make more money, yeah, selling more is one of the solutions. Spending less is certainly one of the solutions too. If your expenses for the month or for the year are over 35 or 40%, you are in a danger zone. And that includes your salary. So make sure that you know those numbers with great intent. Finally, number 3 is to find efficiencies. These efficiencies are great. Charge more. Buyers and sellers charge more. On our listings, we charge 7%. Why? Because we're worth it. Because we outmarket, we outperform, and we outservice anybody else in our area. So unapologetically, I'm going to charge more. On the buy side, oftentimes we let the co-broke determine what we're going to get paid. But realistically, every one of our exclusive right to represent buyer agreements says what we are worth. And it's what the buyer and the agent agree upon. And so if you want to get paid more, honor that agreement. Increasing your conversion rates, that goes back to this slide right here. Knowing all of these things and knowing what to track and increasing the conversion rate on these, you are going to make so much more money if you can just tighten the screws on this stuff. We've added touch points and text messages and other things into our ecosystem. And as we've added them, we've watched conversion rates increase. So study all these things that I'm putting in front of you right here. And then finally, add a transaction fee. On each one of our deals, one of the reasons why I've been able to make what I've made and why we've kept our profit margin healthy is because we charge a transaction fee on buys and sells. And we certainly will negotiate it if we have to. You know, we're not going to lose a deal over it if we can't get it. But I will tell you this: If you don't know your numbers, if you're not protecting them, and if you're not operating by the budgets that I just shared with you, I don't know how to help you get to $1 million. I just don't. This is a business. And if we're talking $1 million in business, we need to be serious with that. It's a big deal. There's a great question from Michael. Michael asks the CRM we recommend for these things. We love Sierra Interactive. Sierra has been a huge benefit. In fact, I'll send out a link to Sierra with a direct line to them to start getting some demos. We've built out a lot of our lead follow-up things within Sierra that have amazing plans that people can bolt on. Some of your businesses, people that are watching, some of your businesses have skyrocketed recently. And some of that has to do with the plans that we have within Sierra Interactive, our CRM. When it comes to lead generation, if you're trying to pick up leads, there's 3 types of leads you should be cognizant of, Michael. There is PCSOI, that's past client and sphere of influence. That's the most important bucket that you have. Then there is long-term nurtures. Those are pay-per-click leads. You can buy those from a place like Sierra Interactive or Ylopo or Google. You can buy pay-per-click leads. They're going to cost you $10 to $15 each, roughly. And then there's the low-hanging fruit, which is the most expensive way to do business. It's the one I think you should be reliant on the least. And yet it is a way to kickstart your business. I rely on all 3 of these. Those low-hanging fruits I was referring to, Michael, that's like a Zillow or a Realtor.com lead. It's a radio lead, a home light lead, an outside referral from another company. These are things that are going to cost you a lot of money. They can make you a lot of money, but I'll be hard pressed to see if your profit margin is where it needs to be. So hope that helps. I've been feeling that sneeze coming on for like 2 minutes, and I bet you've all been wondering if I was having a stroke because my face just goes kind of scrunched up. No stroke. We're stroke free, so that's good. Michael, glad it helps. Gang, we're about out of time. I want to give a couple calls to action here. The first is Michael did a great job of leading me into talking about the importance of having the right system to back this up. Things within Sierra Interactive, we have this amazing Hatch messaging and Hatch systems opportunity and plan for you that we can basically put our ISAs into your world and into your CRM. It's pretty awesome stuff. So something for you to consider. The other thing is we have trainings on all this stuff I just talked about. We're going to send a link for you to get some free trainings, not trying to sell anything, but there is at the end of those trainings a chance. I really am trying to sell things. That's okay. At the end of it, there's a chance for you to get off the free courses and get onto some scheduled ones. So absolutely a chance for you to grow and to improve on this. Stephen asked, will this replay be available? Sure will. We'll send out the replay as soon as we're done recording and we get it processed and rendered, as well as it'll be uploaded to our Hatch Coaching YouTube page. And that's my final charge for you is please sign up and subscribe to the Hatch Coaching YouTube page. We put 1 or 2 videos a week of content on there. It's an amazing way to get educated and not have to pay a dime. Boy, Mike Novak added this. Thank you, Mike. Hatch messaging is the single most important piece he added in his business in 2020 for lead conversion. And Jordan Clark asked, do we have an ISA service? We don't do ISA work for other people, but I can tell you that our Hatch messaging and Hatch systems serves as the best supplemental ISA in your business. It is just an amazing way to do extra touch points. We don't want to go and make all the phone calls for you, but we want to set you up so all the phone calls come to you. And that again is with Hatch messaging and Hatch systems. So gang, that's it. I'm done. I covered all my money making tactics. I hope you're walking out of here feeling a little bit more wealthy, a little bit more rich, and that this was 45 minutes of time well spent. So God bless you. Thanks for being here, and tune in next time.